Hello, BookTube. I have a book tag for you today that I found at Katie's channel, Books and Things. It's the the musical theater book tag, and I gravitated towards it because musical theater is near and dear to my heart. Although, for that very reason, it's a little disturbing to me. There are 7 questions set up around 7 different Broadway musicals, and out of the 7, only 2 are any good. All the others stink. This is a little disturbing. there's no uh, there are no real musicals in the bunch. There's no Guys and Dolls. There's no Call Me Madam. There's no 42nd Street. There's no South Pacific. There's no Oklahoma. There's nothing old. There's nothing tried and true. It's all modern stuff. But still, I thought the tag was fun. So the first one is Wicked. Uh, the question is to name your favorite fictional friendship. I should point out that in addition to uh, there being no good directing, no good character development, not one single good song, no good choreography, nothing at all worthwhile in Wicked, there are also no friendships. I think that the question is probably getting at the main 2 characters, and that's not a friendship. It's just a mean girl meets another mean girl. But as far as the question goes, there are, of course, in fiction, lots of candidates for great friendships. Uh, there's Kirk and Spock, you know, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. There's Map and, and Lucia from Benson's great series of novels. But for me, I think I would probably have to give the predictable guy answer and say Woodrow Call and Augustus McCrae from from Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. I just works for me more than any other depiction of friendship I've ever seen in fiction. Number 2 is Sweeney Todd, which has precisely one good song and all the rest is garbage. And its question is favorite villain. I don't know of a villain in Sweeney Todd that you'd call by that name, but maybe psychopaths with absolutely no motivation count these days as villains. I don't know. As far as my favorite villain, I'm sure you could all guess. I love to hate her. Number 3 is Phantom of the Opera, which is not only it's 2 catchy songs, but it's also a portent of disaster. It and its like are what killed the Broadway musical by making them mega events that only very wealthy people can afford, and that only very wealthy companies can stage. But the question here is favorite love triangle. And again, there are lots of candidates, but I think I would probably go with a more classical one. The love triangle between Guinevere, Lancelot, and King Arthur in the Arthurian legend cycle, but especially the way it's characterized in T.H. White's novel, The Once and Future King, where it's just given such an amazingly complex and adult cast to it. Just, heartbreaking to read. Number 4 is The Lion King, which has a host of good songs and also Julie Taymor's amazing set design. And the question here is favorite sidekick, which I assume refers to the little hornbill. Are there many other sidekicks in the movie? I guess the hyenas. But when I hear this, I don't think literature when I hear sidekick. I think comic books, which I deeply love and have read forever, but I've never talked about them on this channel. But don't you think when you hear sidekick, don't you think superhero sidekick? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. And there are lots of candidates. There's Bucky, Captain America's World War II sidekick. There's Robin, the most famous sidekick of them all. But for me, my favorite one has always been Toro, the teenage sidekick of the World War II era Human Torch. The Human Torch, of course, is an android. He was built in a laboratory to have his superpowers. But Toro is, we're told just matter-of-factly, a mutant who gained his ability to burst into flame, fly through the air, throw fireballs when he hit puberty. And not much is made of it. And I always wished that more was. Toro has an amazing set of natural-born superpowers, and nothing is ever done with that. But anyway... the next one is Grease, and the question is your least favorite ending. I think is very apt for Greece. I like that very much. And in terms of literature, there are lots of candidates I've mentioned before on this channel. I don't think a lot of authors know how to end books. It seems to be a dying talent. But for me, the worst candidate of all would be something I've already mentioned. It's Hannibal by Thomas Harris, in which, for 500 glorious pages, FBI Special Agent Clarice Starling is just what you remember her. If you saw Silence of the Lambs or if you read Silence of the Lambs, she's a true believer and an avatar of right versus wrong. And that works just fine until the end of the book. At the very end of the book, 20 pages from the end, when she learns that a group of horrible people are about to do something horrible to Hannibal Lecter, despite how horrible he is, she thinks to herself, this will not happen under my arm. This will not happen in my world. I will prevent this. And she grabs her spare revolver because she's in disgrace. Her official revolver has been confiscated. And she goes out to save Hannibal Lecter from these horrible people and this horrible fate they have designed for him. And then, because Thomas Harris was tired or had a book to deliver to his agent in time to make his pool payment or whatever, she completely changes. And the reasons that were given why she completely changes, drugs and trauma, we're told wear off. By the time the book ends, she is a completely different character than the one we've known for 2 whole books, and there is no reason given. It just needs to be that way because Thomas Harris wants it to be that way. It's a total betrayal of his readers. So that would be number 1 for me. But to counterbalance that, I should say, those of you who haven't read the book but may have seen the movie, the excellent movie, read the book because they're very different. Unlike a lot of literary adaptations, they're very different endings. And the book, up until that point, is just magnificent. Let's see here. The next one is Matilda, and it is a favorite adaptation of a book. Now, I'm assuming this means favorite adaptation of a book to a musical, since favorite adaptation of a book, just period, to a dramatic presentation of any kind is a huge subject, one I intend to get to on this channel because it's one of my favorite subjects. But even if you restrict it to favorite adaptation to a musical, there's still a wide number to choose from. And for me, I think it would be the adaptation of Huck Finn, called Big River. The cover of this paperback edition was also the movie poster. Just wonderful, full of great stuff, fun and touching, and well worth finding. Clips of on YouTube, maybe I've never checked to see, but if it's revived on Broadway, you should go to see it if you can afford it, which you won't be able to because tickets will be $500 a piece. Anyway, last one is Les Miserables, and that is your favorite death in a book. Again, lots of candidates for me, but for me, a favorite death either has to be a big heart tugger, or it has to be immensely satisfying. And the more satisfying a death is for me in a book is it's directly proportional to how horrible the character was, and that means a villain. And the one that I thought of for this one was Mr. Melmotte from Anthony Trollope's greatest novel, The Way We Live Now. Melmotte is a corrupt real estate swindler with a funny-sounding name and a string of failed businesses behind him, who has still somehow managed to con most of society into taking him as a normal, upright person. So his death is particularly satisfying on an emotional level. Anywho, that is the musical theater book tag. Sorry for the ominous end note. I'll see you tomorrow, book 2. Thank you.